guys, welcome to another episode of Wine Talks Podcast. I'm joined by the beautiful
Daisy
and the amazing
Jesus.
and kind of a somber day today with the Wine Talks Podcast. How are you guys feeling today?
It's been a rough day for sure. It's a gloomy day.
What about you?
Same. I feel like the news definitely, I don't know, I think, and it's not even just us, I think everybody around the world is feeling a little bit down today.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Las Vegas shooting that happened last night, because we're recording this on Monday, so it happened last night around 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 11 p.m. What do you guys think of the news? I mean, obviously it's really sad, but like, what did you guys feel when you first heard about it? What were you thinking?
I feel like my mind just can't wrap around the fact that there are such cruel people in this world. And to me, it's crazy because I always tell my close friends, I'm always like, I feel like I would like to think that there isn't any bad in this world, when obviously there is all around the world. But for somebody to do that just because, or I mean, and I think that's kind of what they're going, why did he do it? But no matter what reason, whether he had a reason or whether he didn't have a reason, I feel like nobody has the right to take anybody's life away, ever. And you think about it, and you think about people, I'm pretty sure everybody's been sitting at their home or sitting in the car, and you've been listening to all these stories and seeing those very graphic videos all over the internet, and it just makes you stop to think. And maybe it may not relate to you, but just to think, if it's hitting you that hard and you're at the comfort of your own home, tucked under your blanket with the fireplace on watching TV, to think that if it's affecting you and you're in that setting, how much it could be affecting somebody who can't get a hold of their special someone in Las Vegas, or to hear the news this morning that somebody's passed away, or 517 people hospitalized.
I think the last count was actually more than that. It was like almost 530. And
it's just crazy, and I just can't wrap my head around how somebody could do that much harm. Like what is it? And I think that this is kind of, because I feel like this may lead into, was he ill? Was this a terrorist attack?
But even if he was ill though, like if you are ill, or you know somebody in your family who is ill mentally or whatever way, why would you let them get to that point, to the point where they feel that they have to go and do a mass shooting? Because this guy had, what did they say? They said they found like 20 rifles, like not things that you would need for hunting, not things that you would need for everyday shooting, but like I think it was like AK, like gun machine, yeah. Because and I don't know if you guys listen to the video, but you just hear boom, 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 boom. It looks like a freaking movie.
Well, plus you got to think about who needs a gun that, first of all, shoots out automatic, and then from such a far away distance. You're on the 32nd floor of a freaking hotel
across the street.
And at that point, like I just can't imagine it, because at that point I'm like, you're not shooting anybody. Like, it's even worse, right? Because you're not targeting somebody. It wasn't,
I hate this person, I'm mad at them, whatever. It's like you're literally targeting innocent people that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's hard. Yeah, it's just crazy. And I can't wrap my head around it. And I feel like a lot of people are talking about gun control. You know, like, do you feel that who should be able to own a gun? Should anybody even be able to own a gun? What's your guys' opinion on that?
And
I like guns.
Like, obviously, yeah, we all are going to have our own opinions, and you're going to have your own opinion as you're listening, and everybody's entitled to their own. I totally think that you should be allowed to have and own a gun, but I think it has to stop at a certain point. And what type of gun do you need to own?
I think that's the real question.
If you have a gun to protect yourself or protect your family, it's in your home, whatever, that's fine. But you don't have to have a gun that freaking can look at people from across the damn street at the top. You don't need that. Exactly. And most people are like, you can't take my rights away. And if you're going to have a gun for hunting, that's cool too. Whatever. But I don't think that they should be selling people military grade guns.
And that's the real question, because the only reason I don't have a gun is because I'm not a U.S. citizen. Like, hands down, if I was a U.S. citizen, I'd have a gun right now. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because there's no point in taking guns away from these people and then all the good people don't have guns and all the bad people have guns, and then they come, you know, like when I was in college, it was during the time when the Sandy Hook thing was going on. I don't know if you guys remember that shooting.
Yeah. The school shooting,
the
right?
school shooting.
The elementary school?
Yeah, right? it was an elementary school.
That one was so heartbreaking.
That was really bad too. But there was, I was at the U, and there was a warning for, like, they sent it out, you know, they send out the mass text or whatever to warn you, and there was a warning that said out that there was an unidentified person who might have a weapon, possibly a gun, loose on campus. And immediately your mind just goes there, especially because that Sandy Hook was so fresh. And we were in an art classroom, and it has doors on both sides, and there's only like 30 people in the classroom. And I remember it was so instant. The professor looked down, and a guy went and locked the door, and then another guy went and locked the other door. And then as we're just sitting in silence, like waiting for the text to clear, and one of the guys like pulls out a gun, one of the students that was there, and he said, he gave us instructions. He said, if anybody walks through that door, turn over the table and barricade behind you. And I had never been pro-gun until that moment, and I felt like a million times safer with that guy in that. I mean, I know he was one of my, you know, we were classmates, but just knowing that he was there with a gun, and if anybody walked in that door, he had a way to protect us, made me feel so much safer.
See, that's crazy to me, because I feel like there should also be a limit on how many guns you can own. And I think that was one of the big questions that people are asking themselves right now, where it's like, how on earth was this guy able to own, what was it, 14, 20, however many? Like, the fact that, like, why would anybody need more than 10 guns? I don't care if you're even a freaking gun collector. Like, why would you need...
Or have a special license if you're going to be a gun collector. Or why would you need 20 of the same kind of gun?
And not even that. Go through background checks. Go through mental...
I think this guy's background check was clear. And
yeah, he had no like criminal record. Like, I think he had one ticket forever ago.
I don't know. I just think it's crazy. If I'm being completely honest, though, the one thing that always has scared me, and for me personally, I would never own a gun. I would never want to own a gun at my own house, ever. Because it doesn't make me feel safe. I feel like, to me, it's almost the complete opposite of what you just said, Daisy. It had that guy in my classroom pulled out a gun. I feel like, to me, personally, I almost would have felt even more unsafe. And I think what scares me about a gun is the fact that I am not in control. And knowing that such, whether it's big or small, that something like that can create so much harm, it scares the crap out of me. Like, I remember one time, and I didn't realize this because I feel like I've always seen it on television. I'm like, whatever. I've never had to deal with it. And one time, Davina and I went to an amusement park during this time, Halloween, and they had a haunted house that was like a cellmate, like a jail sort of thing. And it was a dark room. We walk in, and all of a sudden, this spotlight goes right, like, just hits us, and 5 people ran into the back, like, kind of like a death row, where they, like, all just get the guns and they just point at you. And I swear on my life, like, I had, like, a panic attack. Like, I literally, like, I remember, like, I pushed Davine out of the way, and I was yelling, I was screaming, I was like almost in tears, and I was like, no, and that was the first time that I realized how scared I am of guns. It's terrifying. Whereas,
but that's because you're not in control, though. If you have a gun, you are in control.
See, but even then, though, I feel like...
Don't you think?
Even if I would ever hold a gun...
Have you ever done shooting?
Oh, no. And I don't think I ever would.
That's the thing,
like, even
though.
just holding a gun to me
Yeah.
scares the crap out of me. To know that, like, I could potentially do something and hurt someone.
It scares the crap out of you because you don't have training with it.
See,
you
but
don't know how
let
to
me
use
put
it.
it to you this way, okay? Let's just pretend that you and your little sister are in a room and you hear somebody. How would you feel more apt to protect your sister? With or without a gun?
I feel at that point with the gun, but...
See, that's what we're saying, though.
Like, that's what we're
only
saying.
have guns to protect yourself if that's what if you're fighting for that right to own a gun, then you should, like we're saying, is you should have it to protect yourself, and that's the only time that you should use it.
Because
unless
that's
you're hunting
the
and things
original.
Like that.
I mean, that's the original purpose of that whole, right to bear arms. Yeah, it's to protect yourself because that's what you need guns for, not to commit mass
Heinous
murder
crime.
because you want to be on the news or whatever the hell his reason was, you know? Like, I'm not saying go and buy 10 guns so that you can feel safe.
Right.
But I'm saying if I'm in a situation where I have to be face to face to an attacker and I have to fight them, I feel much more comfortable fighting them with a gun than with my body. I mean, I'm 4'11". There's nothing that I can really do to a guy. I mean, I can hardly do anything to you.
Yeah. I just think it's crazy, and like I said, I think everything is, especially because I feel like we've gone from one thing to another. Like I remember, it was literally just a year ago that artist got shot during a meet and greet, Christina Grimmie. You know, it's just right to the face.
Right.
And
And
then
the Pulse nightclub.
and then the next day it was the Pulse nightclub, and how many were dead? Like 40 something.
I think.
49 people
Sorry
shot.
if I got that wrong.
And that was and that was crazy. And then all of a sudden, what was it? I remember we took our little sister to the Ariana Grande concert when she was here in Utah, and then a couple weeks later somebody bombs her concert
In
in
Manchester.
and it's just you can't help but be like, what is wrong with people? And then all of a sudden now, a couple months later, this shooting during a country festival, you know.
Like when did shooting or bombing or whatever when did that become a trend? Like that, when did that become a thing?
Especially
it's
because
crazy.
I asked my dad one time when we were sitting out to dinner, and I was like, Dad, do you remember all of this stuff happening when you were younger? And he goes, there was things that happened, but it was never this consistent, and it was never this bad. And he's like, it's scary. The world's getting even scarier.
Hell yeah.
And it's just crazy. I think for me, it just, for example, Davin, he's very, very, very paranoid when it comes to, maybe not paranoid, but very cautious when it comes to being in large crowds, which is something that I've never experienced myself. I can be in a large crowd and I'm like, whatever, there's just so many people here. And it's not until now that all this stuff is happening that I see his point of view, where you think about it and you just, you know, you're in this large crowd. I mean, how 2 shootings during a movie premiere, the Batman movie premiere, and then that Amy Schumer movie premiere. Can you imagine going to watch a movie that you're so excited to watch? Somebody gets up in the middle of the auditorium and starts shooting randomly at people. Like, I feel like it's almost that you don't even feel safe anywhere that you're at anymore. You know?
I understand that, especially because we're going to the concert in February, and I think about it, and for a moment I was like, we shouldn't go. But then at the same time, when do you decide that fear takes over? When do you let that take over your life? Because then you give the shooter, whoever he was, for whatever motive, more power to control you, right?
And then those people who want to copycat or do anything else, if that person could instill fear in those people, then I can probably instill even more in them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing.
And it's crazy that you brought that up because Davin and I are actually getting married this Saturday in a couple of days, and for our honeymoon we have our hotel and our flights booked for Las Vegas
for months now.
Yeah, we've had it for a couple months now, and it's just, we woke up this morning and Davin left to work and calls me right away as he leaves because he's hearing the radio and starts telling me about all this stuff, and immediately we had like this moment of silence and we just said, should we still go? You know, and it's something that we were thinking about all day. And then Davin brought up that valid point where it's exactly what you said. He said, at what point do we give this person that fulfillment of saying, yes, I scared everybody away, or I got my way, or anything like that? And he's right, you know.
And I also was like, I don't know what your guys' opinion on it is. I also was wondering if it was cool to go to this city and celebrate when something just a week before so sad happened. Like, do you think, like, what are your guys' opinion on that? Do you think it's still the same thing where kind of you have to push yourself and life has to go on? Or what? Because, like, we seriously are going to go celebrate something so happy when just a week before.
Well, as soon as you get there, donate blood and then you'll feel better because they need a ton of blood.
We can't donate blood.
We're gay.
Oh.
That's another thing.
I'm sorry.
Whole nother subject, whole nother day.
Well, I think one of the
But I
things
mean, we
too,
still can donate to Red Cross, and that's one thing I actually do want to do, is
You
donate
can't-
money to Red Cross.
You can't donate.
No, not if you're gay. Because do you know how they ask you about previous piercings and recent piercings and recent tattoos? Among that, it says
Sexual activity
if
and
you've
stuff
had
like that.
any sexual activity with a man.
Is that like with a man?
A man with a man.
Oh, I was like, oh shit.
You're like, because then nobody should be allowed. But
well, there's a small portion of the population who can.
But yeah, if you are even totally able to do it, you should donate blood.
If you can.
And if you can't, you can donate money. I know that you can donate money as well to the Red Cross Foundation, and they also use that money to help get around and get all their supplies and things like that.
The Red Cross is running thin with a lot of the disasters that have been happening, you know, with Irma and the one in Texas as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I also wanted to bring up, kind of get you guys' input on this, is I was listening to the radio and they said that this guy had been checked into the hotel since the September 28th.
Since Thursday.
Which, how many days were in this month? 30? 31? 31. So let's say he was there the 28th, the 29th, the 30th.
Sorry.
30th. The 30th, the 1st, and...
The 1st, that's
the
what
1st.
happened.
So he'd been there for 4 days. And so somebody was talking and they said... Because I remember... It was when Amy Schumer had released her movie, and there was that shooting during her premiere of her movie.
What movie did she take out?
Trainwreck. She released it, and I think it was like, oh gosh, I'm not even gonna say it. There were a couple people that passed away, and it's something that it got me thinking, because I think it was literally, I want to say maybe about 2 weeks after that happened, that Davin and I had tickets to go watch her here in Utah. And I remember it said doors open at 6. The show starts at 7:30. Davin and I showed up around 7, and the line was blocks away. And I remember I said, I thought doors opened at 6. And they were going ahead. They were checking bags. They were doing a pat down. They were doing the all over your body. And on top of that, you had a metal detector to go through. And I told Davin, I was like, this is crazy, but I could see it, and it got me thinking. You don't know when you check into a room. To think that this guy somehow snuck in 14 or 20 guns into his room, plus ammo, plus everything. They said, I heard that he had like cameras set up both ways outside of his door so that he knew when the police were coming up to his room.
What?
That he had went ahead and shattered with, like, I can't remember what, but he had shattered the window first and then started firing. And so to think that this was all happening, and somebody said, I heard it on the news, so does this mean that all of a sudden, because of this, we're going to have to get our backs checked every single time that we rent out a hotel room? Does this mean, because somebody said also, they said, well, what about the people, the people who do clean the beds in the rooms and stuff? And somebody said, well, if you put the little don't disturb sign, they're not allowed to go in.
Yeah.
So is it now going to be a regulation where no matter what, whether you like it or not, people are going to have to come in?
Here's the thing with that, okay? I feel that when you start, there's a certain amount of control that can happen and should happen, but you can't go over that control, because where that control increases, your freedom diminishes.
But do you think any of those things being in place could have prevented this?
You know what? Honestly, I think not. Here's the reason why. Okay? Because the shooting didn't happen at the hotel. The shooting happened at the concert. The people who were at the concert, the videos show a bunch of security guards. There was nothing in the world that those security guards could have done
to prevent it.
And yeah, like maybe they should do a little bit more of security, But at the end of the day, the person who is going to be crazy, or not crazy, I don't know what the heck was wrong with him, but whoever, his motive, like he obviously planned it out. So whatever security measures you put, they're going to plan around that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the control that should happen comes before that, before the hotel,
right?
Into the point where they buy the guns, or like nobody thought it was weird that he was buying so much ammunition. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Like, no matter what hunting trip you go into, there's little signs that are not picked up, and that's where people fall through the cracks. And I feel like maybe that's where we should focus our energy.
I agree. Yeah, because it's like the big things, the big parameters that you can try to take. Because going with no matter how much security or whatever, when the bombing happened in Manchester, they were in the foyer where like everybody's walking around before they go in the concert. And so one thing they were talking about was, well, should there be another extra part of it where they're checking people before they actually get into the foyer? But if that's going to happen, they're just going to go next. They're going to go into the security and do the same thing. And so you're right. It's the little things, but who knows who can check it? Who?
Yeah. But even then, there's going to be people who slip through it for
Where
some
there's
reason.
a will, there's a way for that kind of.
Yeah.
It's sad to think, but if
But
you
maybe,
have the will to want to do something like that.
But maybe it could be like less damaging in a way.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And of course we don't know the answer, right? We're just
Yeah, I just hope there is a change. I
talking.
feel like we wait for so many things to happen, and one thing that I've always hated is when somebody has to die or something like this has to happen to actually say, all right, let's think about this. You know, it should
Yeah.
never get to that point.
But
It
the
should
thing
never get
is,
to that
people
point.
are dying and nobody's taking any precautions to make the measure better.
yeah.
People are still dying of mass shootings every year. And
I mean,
what the...
The first mass shooting that really caught my attention was the Columbine shooting.
Yeah.
And that was when we were in elementary school. Like I was in elementary school and I'm older than you guys. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it took that long, that many shootings for people to really for action to happen.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know what it is, and we're probably not the people to be giving advice on that sort of thing because
Right.
we really have
And we're
no
not even
say in,
really
but
giving
It's just our
advice. It's just we're
opinion.
talking and trying to have an opinion about it.
that's the thing. I feel like opinions are the big thing, and I feel like people need to reach out to governors and senators and input your voice. You know, not saying that like our opinion doesn't matter, because I feel like if any opinion matters, it's our opinion. It's citizens, the residents of the United States that need to speak up and say something needs to happen. Like we can't wait for the next mass shooting for you guys to say, okay, now maybe let's talk about it now. You know, it's just crazy. And I hope that this world can turn around. And like one of my favorite people, Ellen, says is like, be kind to one another. I don't understand. It is so much easier to be kind to people and love people than to go ahead and hate and do crazy things like this and kill people. I just can't imagine. But we just definitely wanted to go ahead and talk about this issue and say that our hearts are with everybody out there. We can't even begin to say how incredibly hurt we are, and we don't even have any friends. I mean, we have friends who live in Nevada, you know, luckily everybody's okay, but
Yeah.
it's just that, you know, our hearts are with you guys. We are going to go ahead and post there is a GoFundMe account where you can donate to the Red Cross, so we will go ahead and post this on our Facebook
Or you can
page.
you can also do just the red, like go straight to their
Oh, yeah.
website.
To the Red
Right.
Cross as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just anything would greatly help. Definitely.
Even if it's just $1, I know sometimes it seems awful to have to donate money. Like that's the one thing people can't give. But in this case, the money can go a long way if you cannot donate your blood. It really does help. It helps for disasters and it helps for shootings and for a lot of things. I know they were saying that the hospitals over there were just full. I just can't imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely just be kind to one another. I feel like that's something that everybody has to do. I don't know why there's so much hate in this world.
Is that like your advice for the week?
Yeah,
then?
definitely. That's my advice for the week. Be kind to people. I'm definitely stealing that from Ellen. Hey, but it's true. I feel like you need to just spread love.
I think mine, and I said it before, I think in a prior episode, is that don't be afraid to smile at somebody, and maybe that one smile can make their day, or if you're rude to somebody, it could push them over the edge to do something unimaginable, and yeah, just try to spread, again with like Jesus, just try to spread as much love as you can, because that's the one thing that will really drown out hate. So, Daisy?
My advice is help out. There's so many things that happen around the world, and especially around our community, and you don't have to wait for a mass shooting to donate blood, or you don't have to wait for a tragedy to strike to donate to the Red Cross. I feel that we are all hurt as a nation, and the best way to heal is to be there for one another. And obviously I cannot physically be there for the people, the families of the injured ones, but a little goes a long way, especially when you think that some of those people have lost family members to a person who didn't know them, to a person who has ripped their loved one from them. And just a little bit of kindness, like Sue said, will show them that not everyone in the world is like that.
And one more thing, I don't mean to like put even more, but I read this thing that Mr. Rogers, I saw this, I don't know if you guys have seen
the neighborhood,
picture.
yeah.
Well, there's this picture on Facebook that I don't remember him saying, obviously I was a little kid when I watched it, But he said that he would talk to his mom when he would see tragedy strike, and his mom would said, in the midst of all that tragedy, look for helpers, because there's always going to be people helping, and that lets you know that there's more kindness in this world than hate. And don't give up on the world just because of one person. I mean, there's obviously multiple people throughout the years, but look how many kind people are in this world, and just try to add to that, and don't let these horrible people stop you from loving, and don't let them make you give up on the world.
Definitely. I love that. Well, but yeah.
Thank you for listening. Be safe.
Hold your loved ones.
Yeah. Tell the people you love.
That's
you
another
love them.
thing too that I listened today. Just quickly to touch on that before, I feel like one thing that I've been hearing all day today is that a lot of people didn't get to say goodbye to those people, and that people are like, oh, I didn't get to tell them I love them. I didn't get to give them one last hug, and it really put it in perspective. I feel like sometimes we're so caught up in our own lives and we're so busy. A simple I love you. How long does it take to go ahead and take out your phone and simply write out I love you? And send it to your family members, your friends, people that maybe you haven't talked to in 2, 4, 5, 6, 8 years.
And let shit go. Let shit go. It's not worth being mad over something so stupid, because one minute they're here, the next minute they're gone.
Yeah.
Any of us.
Yeah, definitely. Don't let go of anything. Make sure that you're always at ease, because we really don't know when our last day is going to be. And I feel like you need to be at peace, and you need to be in good terms with everybody, especially your loved ones. So if anybody's listening, definitely go ahead, and as soon as we end this podcast, just take 5 seconds to text somebody that you love them. Please, just do it. But thank you guys again so much for listening, and we'll be back next week. And like Daisy said, if you have anything that you can give, definitely go ahead and do that. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.